Hi and Assalamualaikum to everyone. So today, me and my teammate would like to present to you guys about our sales and service tax, which is SST, and good and service tax, which is GST. As you guys can see, that is our presenter for today. So the first one we have me, which is Muhammad Amir Akil bin Zulkifli, IDA 2208130, and second one we have Nabil Amshah, IDA 2208074, and third one we have Muhammad Adin Fikri, IDA 2208044, and the fourth one we have Amirul Akasha, IDA 2208015, and last but not least we have Kushafirul Aiman, IDA 2208032. Okay, so we're moving on to the first point, which is, do you guys know about GST and SST? So today I would like to present to you guys about GST and SST. That is our introduction of GST. So the first point is GST were implemented by Malaysian government on 1st April 2015. The standard rate for GST is 6%. Okay, then in society eyes that GST was highly controversial and faced a lot of significant from public over rising cost of living. On 2018, government were decided to eliminate GST because government heard a lot of complaint that GST had a very higher tax. Then lastly is on 1 January 2018, GST were officially removed and cannot be used anymore in Malaysia. So secondly is introduction of SST. After Malaysia did not use GST anymore, SST were replaced as a service tax in Malaysia. So SST was reverted in Malaysia country and officially used on 1st September 2018 until 2024. SST system is imposed on the manufacturer or producer of certain goods. For standard sales tax rate is 10%, okay, while service tax is 6%. That is the rate of SST. This revision to aim to simplify the tax system in Malaysia.
Alright, now we move to advantages and disadvantages of GST. The first advantage is broad tax base. GST is typically as a broader tax base as it includes both goods and services, reducing the scope for tax evasion and increasing the government revenue. Next one is transparency. Transparency is GST is structured to be more transparent as it usually collected at each stage of the supply chain, and it will make it easier to track a fraud and audit. Next, advantages is boost and economic growth. By reducing the overall tax burden and making compliance easier, GST can increase the efficiency of businesses and boost economic growth. Lastly is efficiency in tax collection. GST is simplifies tax collection as it merges multiple taxes into a single tax system. It also reducing administrative costs and efforts. Now is disadvantages of the GST. Firstly is complex implementation. Implementing GST can be complex and costly due to the need to overhaul the existing tax system, train personnel, and set up a new administrative process. Secondly is the potential for revenue shortfall. In the initial phase of the implementation, government might face revenue shortfall as business and consumer adjust to the new tax system. And lastly is an initial inflationary impact. There may be a short-term increase in price of goods and services as business adjust to the new tax system. So now we are move on to the advantage and disadvantage about SST. So firstly, SST is often simpler to understand and administer as it typically applied at the final point of sales. It reduces the complexity involved in tax collection. So secondly, it is direct impact. SST has more direct and immediate impact on consumer, which it can be more beneficial for the governments instead of straightforward revenue collection. Next is the tax collection of the process is simpler and reducing the administrative burden on both sides, which is firstly the government and the business. So for the last of advantage and disadvantage of SST is it is generally collected at a single point, which is the retail level. The compliance costs for business can be lower compared to GST. Next is a disadvantage of SST. Firstly, it is less transparency. SST is less transparent compared to GST. It is making it harder to track the audit politely, leading to a higher risk of a tax evasion. Secondly, it is a narrow tax base. SST is typically has a narrower tax base as it is only raised on the final sale of goods and service, which can emit revenue generation. Thirdly, economic by incentives business to vertically integrate to avoid multiply taxation points. So for the lastly, it is incentive for evasion. SST collected at the point of sales. There is more incentive for businesses to evade taxes by under-reporting sales.
Next, I will be discussing whether Malaysia should revert to the good of service tax (GST) to increase its tax revenue, considering that GST collection was significantly higher than the sales and service tax (SST). In my opinion, Malaysia should revert to GST to increase its tax revenue. Here are a few reasons why. Firstly, tax rate comparison. The SST rate range from 5% to 10% and the service charge range from 6% to 8%. In comparison, the GST rate is a flat 6. Despite a lower rate, GST have a broader tax base on generate more revenue. Second one is revenue potential. GST have the potential to generate more revenue due to its broader tax base. Unlike SST, which is only applied at the point of sale. GST apply at every stage of the supply chain. This leads to higher overall tax collection. One is transparency. GST is more transparent to consumer. Every stage of the production and distribution chains contribute to the tax, making it easier for consumer to understand the tax component of their purchase. By reverting to GST, Malaysia could significantly enhance its tax revenue while maintaining transparency and fairness in its tax system.
Considering the argument presented by Professor Emeritus Dr. Marjoy Pardai and Raja Kumaran, which tax system, GST or SST, do you believe is more suitable for Malaysia economic context and why? So, based on experts' opinion, which is Dr. Apruva Sangi, believe that GST is better than SST because it broadens the tax base and brings in more revenue, while Dr. Ahmad Razman Abdul Latif highlighted that GST resulted in higher revenue due to its comprehensiveness and also its transparency. So based on our research, GST is more suitable for Malaysian economic context compared to SST because SST may generate low revenue and less transparent. So for the conclusion, GST and SST is a multi-stage consumption tax levied on goods and service at every stage of the supply chain with the standard rate. It aims to create a more comprehensive tax system by eliminating the cascading tax effect and providing better revenue collection for the government. However, the choice between these tax can reflect broadened economic and political consideration, balancing between ease of administration and revenue generation efficiency.
That's all
from us.
for us.
Thank you.
you.
Assalamualaikum.